In section 7.2, we're looking at the law of cosines, and last week we looked at section 7.1. So just to recap that, 7.1, we did the law of sines, which I called for short LOS. I'm going to do the same thing with law of cosines and call that LOC for shorthand. And with law of sines, we were able to solve triangles that were angle, side, or angle, side, or side, angle. But we were not able to solve those triangles. SAS we were not able to do, and side, we were not able to do. So that's what we're going to do today. So that brings us to kind of my shortcut there, my cheat sheet. I shouldn't say shortcut, my cheat sheet, which looks something like this. Nope, not that. There we go, that's better. So this kind of summarizes what we did for 7.1. Like that blue. So for 7.1 we did angle, side, angle, and side, angle, which gave us that ambiguous case. So all that stuff was 7.1. And today we're going to move on to 7.2, which has the other two triangles. And you'll see the law of cosines is a bit uglier than the law of sines. It's a little more complicated to solve. Not terrible, but it's just not quite as straightforward and simple as the law of sines. So it's preferable to use the law of cosines just long enough till you have enough information to go back to the law of sines. So you'll see in my steps here, after law of cosines, I do end, sorry, that's not a highlighter. I do end up just doing just that first step in law of cosines and then moving back to the law of sines and kind of finishing with law of sines. So you'll see how we do that with our examples. So our first case, So our law of cosines looks like this. And you can see there's three forms of it so that we can solve for either side A. I keep forgetting that's not a highlighter. Sorry. There we go. Side A, or side B, or side C. So, but if you'll notice, they're actually the same form. So you know how I feel about memorizing things. I don't do it. So, well, I guess I do because I have to memorize that first one, which I remember it by thinking of the Pythagorean theorem, but extended with a correction for any angle that's not 90 degrees. And the other two I don't memorize, I just relabel the triangle. So if you think about the triangle that you label A, B, C, if you just change the labeling to be A, B, C, or all the way around, it's just a repeat of the same formula depending on the way your triangle is labeled. So the important thing here to note is that you're using these formulas to either solve for one of these sides or one of these angles. Those inside sides you can't really solve for those because what's going to happen if you try to use one of those other triangles is you're going to get a duplicate of sides, or you're going to get too many variables in your equation. So the way we use these laws of cosine is, let me write this down. How do we use the law of cosine? So for side, angle, side, that first step, see that first step right there, is to find the third side. So our first step is find a side. Find the third side. And that means I want to choose the form that has the side in front. I don't want the side to be stuck inside that equation because I'm not going to be able to get to it because it's also going to be stuck in here. I'm not going to be able to solve for it. So to solve for that third side, I need to choose the right form that has the side as the lead. And you'll notice that that works with SAS, because if I have side, angle, side, so I have, say, side 1, angle, side 2, the unknown side is across from the angle. And the side that I'm solving for that's in front is the angle that I need, and that's the angle that I have. So that's why it works for side, angle, side. For side, angle, side, I'm going to do example 22 for you in a different recording. I'm also going to share with you a recording from the Khan Academy with a short note. So after Sal Khan does this example that he does for side, angle, side to find that third side, he doesn't finish completing the triangle. But we do just take that as far as he went, and to finish solving for the triangle, you can just go back to those steps. Once you find that third side, then you will find the smallest angle. This is important, and it's something that Sal does not really address in the Khan Academy recordings, is that possibility of an obtuse triangle. That's the ambiguous case of the SAS case, of the SSA case, this one right here, that we kind of want to avoid. And in order to avoid it, we can start with that smallest angle. So from the law of cosines. So that way I don't have an obtuse triangle. I don't have an obtuse triangle. And if I do end up having an obtuse triangle, it comes out here. So I don't have to worry about that ambiguous case. So from Sal's recording, you do find the third side. He finds the third side. And then you would go on to find that smallest angle with law of sines. And the third angle you find with the triangle sum, which is that the angles A plus B plus E equals 180 degrees. So I'm going to say this with a kind of a note. The Khan Academy videos, both LOS, the law of sine and law of cosine videos from the Khan Academy, although I normally love the Khan Academy videos and I do endorse them, and we did talk about it in the last class, which is why I want to mention it right now. They're usually great, but in this particular case, he does not allow, and he doesn't specify, he does not allow for the case of an obtuse triangle. So that's a bit of a problem. So we're going to watch those videos kind of with a grain of salt, and remember that going from that third side, the next step, we have to start with the smallest angle if we're starting with side angle side. All right, and then the other possibility, so that's the law of cosines using side angle side. And the other one is, so that's option 1. And then the other one is when we use it to solve a side-side-side triangle. And that's where we find, so we already have all three sides, so how do we know which angle to start with? I want to avoid that ambiguous case. There's no way I can say, okay, well, if I pick this angle, then the other one won't be obtuse because there's two other angles. So in this case, I'm actually going to start with the largest angle. So if it is an obtuse triangle, we get that obtuse angle out of the way first step with law of cosines, and that way we don't have to deal with that ambiguous case of law of sines. So with side, my first step is to find the largest angle. And Khan Academy, that is not what he does. So I'm not going to share that video with you because I don't want you to watch that one, because he does not start with that largest triangle. He has a special situation where he's looking at a ramp, and it's not solving for the whole triangle. He's just solving for that acute angle, and he knows it's acute. So we don't have that situation in our book. We're looking to solve a whole triangle, including the possibility of an obtuse triangle. So I'm going to not share that second video with you. And we are going to, whenever we solve side triangles, we start by finding the largest angle with law of cosines. And then once I've done that, then I'm free to solve for the other angles with, I guess it's too far up there. So step 2 is to use the law of sines to find a second angle. Now I know that one's not going to be obtuse because I already found the largest angle in step 1, so it will not be the ambiguous case. So that is why I found that largest angle. And then once I have 2 angles, then it's easy to find the third one with the triangle sum, which is A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees. All right, so I'm going to show those 2 examples to you in the next couple of recordings, and I'm going to share one recording from Khan Academy, and actually 2 recordings. And then so the next thing I'm going to do, once we do those 2 triangles, is look at Heron's formula, which is, let's see, that one comes up, I think it's on page 335 of your book. 335. It's kind of worked out how to do on page 335. I'm also going to share Khan Academy a video on that. I think that one's really good. And I'm also going to share that formula with you here for application. So this you're going to need for one of the word problems in your homework. So that's an area. So a couple different things we're doing today in 7.2. We're looking at the law of cosines for those 2 different triangles. We're looking at when we do those 2 different ways of doing it, make sure you avoid that ambiguous case by being careful about which order you do solve for the angles. And then the last thing is using Heron's formula to solve for the area of a triangle when I'm given 3 sides. All right. So I will end this recording, and then I will do a separate recording for your classwork problems.